right, so this happened in the middle of the night. If you're just waking up, there has been a major break in the case. There is now a suspect in custody.
We got him.
We got him. We were all awoken from sound sleep to get that bit of very promising news. So for more on the investigation and how the suspect was arrested, we now turn to Kelly Wright in Washington. Kelly, what do we know at this hour?
Well, law enforcement officials are telling Fox that a key moment in investigation came when federal authorities, using a photo that Immigration and Customs Enforcement had in their files, showed a photo of Shahzad to the person who allegedly sold him the SUV. And with that photo, the seller identified Shahzad as the person to have been purchasing that SUV, and then that led to the subsequent investigation looking for him and then finding him actually preparing to fly to Dubai. They were actually able to pull him off the plane. Faisal Shahzad, a U.S. citizen born in Pakistan, was arrested at JFK Airport preparing to fly to Dubai and then to Pakistan. Authorities tracking him down after finding out he paid $1,300 in cash, as I was just explaining to you, to buy that SUV that was parked there at Times Square, rigged with explosives, set to explode, but it failed to detonate. It fizzled, which was great for law enforcement as well as for the people in that area. Following the arrest, Congressman Peter King of New York issued the following statement stating, quote, "The suspect has been identified as Faisal Shahzad of Shelton, Connecticut. He's being held in New York and can't be contacted." Law enforcement officials say he's a Pakistani who recently returned from a trip. Let's read what Peter King says. "Tonight's arrest of Faisal Shahzad is a tremendous victory for the American people. I commend the NYPD and the FBI for their outstanding work. This is a vivid reminder of how Islamic terrorism are definitely, as he goes on to say, a threat to the United States and particularly to the people of New York." And then we should also tell you that Eric Holder says the investigation is continuing, guys. It's a multifaceted investigation, and while they've made one arrest and will bring formal charges against them later today there in Manhattan, Eric Holder is also stating that they will continue to investigate with this multifaceted approach using all the resources of the federal government as well as local authorities and state authorities there to find out if other people might have been related to this or involved in this particular case. And he goes on to say that they will look for international ties as well. Back to you.
Kelly Wright, thanks so much. Let's talk more about what we know about Faisal Shahzad at this hour. He became a naturalized U.S. citizen in April of 2009.
A year ago.
A year ago. Shortly thereafter, less than 2 months, he returned to his native Pakistan. They're not sure why. He's 30 years old. There's a fascinating report this morning from a neighbor of his in Shelton, Connecticut, where he lived for apparently 3 years. She came out and talked to reporters and said that he at times seemed a little strange. He often dressed in black. She thought that he worked on Wall Street but wasn't actually sure. However, he was very friendly, he was neighborly, he was considerate, and he lived with his wife and 2 young children, a boy and a girl, who her kids had play dates with.
Right.
So again, just a sort of normal suburban family that, okay, at times was a little bit quirky. They said that he liked to go jogging at night.
In his house.
Sure.
Around his house.
Around his house.
Speaking of, here's another neighbor of the suspect. This guy's name is Ted Florio. Let's watch this.
I saw several police officers come out with plastic bags. I suspect they probably found computers, maybe other material for sending information overseas, whatever. I saw some police officers also wearing gear, probably as a precaution for explosives. They had evacuated some families, and then they allowed them to return. Once they allowed the families to return, basically everything closed down. They opened it up to the media.
So meanwhile, he's describing the search of the house overnight in Bridgeport.
Just to add to what you were saying, Allison, they said also he disappeared in June, and then his wife disappeared a little bit after, and then he came back, and then all of a sudden he's arrested.